the entire duration of your course of study. All right, we have NHT Trust for engineering students, the Faculty of the Built Environment, also full tuition, and it's 4-year scholarships. We have Accelerate Energy, which also falls under engineering disciplines, and it's 4 years, and it's $3,500 US per student per academic year. We have Jamaica Backside Institute. That's what I say? Sorry, I said backside, but I must say Backside Institute. All right, so engineering and IT, it's for a year, and students can get up to $500,000 per academic year. So scholarship across other faculties, and I'm just going to touch some of them. I will try to share the listing to see, if anybody is interested in it. We have not yet posted it on the website, but we're going to go ahead and see how much of this we can go through. We could not go through all of them today, I promise you. All right, next slide, please. Thank you. All right, so for the College of Business and Management, the Faculty of Education, Built Environment, Health, and the Faculty of Science and Sport, we have, for business, we have Jamaica Stock Exchange. So these are scholarships that are going to be focusing on specific things. So Jamaica Stock Exchange really focus on our accounting students and entrepreneurship for John Duncan Trust. We have the Faculty of Education that we have the Mona Baptist Church that has one for the teachers and careers, who also focuses on communication and teaching. For the Faculty of the Built Environment, we also have, I think we said NHG before, but I'll drop it again, and the STEM scholarship. And these are for construction, engineering persons, and architects. All right, for health sciences, we have the Kingston School of Nursing. That is for the nurses. So this is the alumni for the nurses, and they offer scholarships to 2 nurses per academic year. And we have the Canadians Pharmacy scholarship that is also for the pharmacy students. Next slide, please. Thank you. We also have postgraduate and master's degree scholarships. So we cover all aspects of the University of Technology Jamaica. So we have the CB FACE Panjam scholarship that covers the master's in architecture, and this is a 2-year scholarship. Students get $200,000 per year. We have the CRIF. I think I heard somebody spoke about the CRIF before. So the built environment and students doing climate, and the duration of study, and it's 11,000 US dollars. By the way, if you see anything that I don't have an updated information for, ladies, please go ahead and let me know so I can make my corrections. Victoria Mutual Master Plan, all master's degree for all program, and they only ask that you be a member of Victoria Mutual, and you can go ahead and apply. It's for 1 year, and it's $450,000 per student. Next slide, please. All right, so applying successfully and planning ahead. And this, we are big on this. We expect our students to be ahead of the game. You plan, you want to have this happen, you can't just wait until last minute. So smart planning today leads to greater opportunities tomorrow. So next slide, please. All right, so scholarship opportunities at JTEC, really, we spoke about the wide range of scholarships that JTEC offers. Diverse scholarships across the faculties to reduce financial barriers and promote academic success. So academic and leadership expectations, scholarship recipients are expected to maintain excellent academics, and it depends on what the donor is asking you for, but the minimum they would ask in most cases is 3.0, which is a B+. All right, good conduct, because you're representing a brand once you have a scholarship, and active participation. They love to have persons who are, or applicants who are well-rounded. We want to be, bright is one thing, but we love when you can represent the brand. All right, JTEC implement monitoring and donor reporting to ensure transparency and positive outcomes. So once a student is a part of our scholarship, we make sure that when we're talking to our donors, we have all the information there. We ensure that we monitor the student from the beginning of the scholarship straight to the end and after, because we also want to focus on how we have our students representing once they have left the University of Technology Jamaica. All right, so application and eligibility, students can apply for government, internal, corporate scholarships following clear eligibility guidelines. We're very clear about that. And once you have become a part of the University of Technology Jamaica, everything else will go smoothly after. Next slide, please. All right, so practical tips for successful scholarship applications. All right, so target relevant scholarships. I know it's a lot. Some persons may get a little confused, and I find sometimes that persons forget to identify the scholarships, match it with the academic program or the background that you're interested in, or the career goal that you're a part of, and then they will just see a part of it and just apply. So sometimes we have scholarship applications for students who have no business applying for that scholarship. So we just ask that you identify the scholarship that applies to you. We want you to maintain a high GPA. And as I said, high can be 4.0, of course. That's where we want all our students to be. However, if, we're not all bright sparks, we're going to make sure that we stay at least at a 3.0, where you're very, very eligible for most of the scholarships that would be provided here. And we want to engage in extracurricular activities, student leadership, community service. As I said before, well-rounded applicants we need so we can have scholars that are representing the brand. All right, so prepare documents early. If you know a scholarship needs something in particular, you gather your transcripts, your references, your personal statements. If you tell to write an essay, start writing from early. Don't wait until the last minute, and then after you have to rush it, and then it doesn't come across, or you really would like it to come across. And I know sometimes when we have time, we can go back and revisit whatever we wrote and, make it fine tune and make it so well interesting that, as soon as whomever is going to evaluate you, it clearly knows that this scholarship is yours. So just prepare yourself beforehand. All right, so follow instructions and deadlines. Carefully follow the application instructions and submit before deadlines to ensure that you are eligible. We don't want you to miss out just because. All right, next slide, please. All right, so finance your education beyond scholarships. So yes, there's scholarships, and I know one of the speakers spoke about the fact that we may have some other, opportunities. People may need a loan, some people may need other things, but we at the University of Technology Jamaica. Once you become a student, the student contributes to a welfare fund, and we are here to help the university's most needy students. So the diverse funding sources, we encourage you to use multiple sources. If you cannot afford to do, all of it at once, you get some from your family, some from your workplace, some from some agency, maybe JAMVAT, and you come to J-TEC and we can assist you with some through the welfare fund. We can do that too. All right, so look at your options and look at the diverse funding sources at the university. The government, university grant, all of those. So we spoke about PATH, the ministry spoke, Ministry of Education spoke, SLB is going to speak, and we have the university's financial aid office. All right, we also, under the university's financial aid office, we have the Earn and Study program where students are allowed to work on campus. So that is also an option for students who are pursuing the degree. You can go ahead and get employed at J-TEC on the Earn and Study program, and you get a stipend. So you may not be able to pay your tuition in its entirety, but it probably can help you to do the other things that you need to do around. All right, and as I love to say, early financial planning, understanding and planning financial options early helps students to avoid stress and focus on academic success. Next slide, please. All right, so to round it all off, I can be contacted at the Student Welfare Office or the Scholarship Office at scholarships@utech.edu.jm. The new students, if you have questions, if you have information you need to share with J-TEC, the prospect info@utech.edu.jm, and the recruitment team have a WhatsApp. It's 658-213-5378. Take a screenshot, take a picture with your phone, so you have this number. And applications are still open for some of our course of studies, so you can still go ahead and send in the application. Who knows? You may still be able to be a part of the University of Technology Jamaica community. Thank you so much. Do we have any questions? No questions? Brittany, no questions.
It looks so. Your presentation was very, very informative. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, and thank you so much
Yeah.
for having me.
Absolutely. It's always a pleasure. And of course, everyone, you can see that UTech has a wide range of support as well.
Wide
So
range.
no excuses.
No excuses at all.
No
Looking forward to
excuses
seeing
at
them.
all. Right. So again, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out or you can share those questions in the chat and we'll attend to them as soon as possible. I see Brittany shared the database in the chat. Thank you so much. And again, remember that you can explore. As she mentioned, UTech has over 100 scholarships and counting. So, of course, you don't want to miss out on any of those opportunities. Nice. So, we're going along. And again, we have so much more to share with you. Right now, we're going to be moving to our next presentation by the team from the Heart NSTA Trust. So we have Mrs. Shauna Thomas, our Capacity Building and Consultancy Officer, along with Ms. Alverna McKenzie, the Recruitment Officer, to share all the big ideas and big opportunities for the Heart NSTA Trust. Now, just to remind you as well, the ministry recently announced that as of June 1, tertiary programs or programs officer offered rather by the Heart NSTA Trust will be free up to level 5, and that's the equivalent of a bachelor's degree. And they saw that as a result of a 15% increase in enrollment after they removed the fees up to level 3 previously. So, of course, we see big things happening for Heart. They're working on building that strong, skilled labor force. And, of course, they're providing opportunities for anyone to get access to certificates, to training, and to upskilling. So I hand over to the team now from the Heart NSTA Trust to share some more about their opportunities.
Good morning, everyone. How are you doing? I want to hear some feedback. How are you? You have been hearing exciting news from morning. Our institutions sharing with you all the programs, all the financial help that is available to you. Are you excited? It means, therefore, that everybody must go to college. Everybody must um, push out and try and get into a tertiary institution. So I'm hoping that everyone is taking their notes and ensuring that they have all the details so that they can either share with others as well as to apply to a tertiary institution because there are many scholarships available. All right, my name is Shauna Thomas. Good morning again, and I am from the Capacity Building Department in Heart Trust. I will not be doing this alone. My colleague, Miss Alverna McKenzie, will be assisting me in delivering this presentation. So we are going to be looking today at available programs for tertiary students. All right. So the presentation is broken down into two areas. So we're going to look at the TVET scholarship that we have available in Heart, and we're also going to look at the other programs that are available in Heart to tertiary students. All right, are you ready to go? Let me see the thumbs up. Let me see the emojis. We are ready to go. Make sure you grab your pencil. Make sure you have your notepad because opportunities are available to you. All right, so let us go. All right, so let us talk about the TVET scholarship. So the TVET scholarship is pretty much that scholarship that seeks to help TVET students to in terms of financial assistance, to help them financially to support their education in tertiary institutions. Pretty much that's what this is saying. So the Heart NSTA Trust Scholarship aims to provide financial assistance to individuals pursuing TVET at the tertiary level. This scholarship is part of the Heart's commitment to increasing access to higher education, promoting workforce competitiveness, and responding to emerging demands in Jamaica's labor market and in keeping with the evolving needs of the Jamaican economy. I must add here that TVET programs are running in alignment with the academic programs. So we want to make sure that our students who are pursuing TVET courses are also assisted. All right, let us go. So the purpose of this scholarship is to provide financial assistance of up to 80% of the tuition costs, only with a maximum of $600,000. So we pay 80% of the cost of your tuition every year once you remain on your GPA path of 3.0. All right. For persons who, because we are giving you only 80%, our clause speaks to the fact that you can receive benefit from other entities. So you can receive an additional scholarship to support your expenses, but the scholarship that you receive it should not be a governmental scholarship. All right. So we pay 80% of your tuition, but we know that there is 20% to be covered. And we want to support you as much as we can. So we also allow you to seek other non-governmental scholarships. All right. So we pay from a minimum of $150,000 to a maximum of $600,000, and it's available to eligible Jamaican citizens to pursue their tertiary education. What are some of the benefits? We know that once you have a scholarship, it improved economic outcomes for individual and families, increased national productivity and competitiveness. It reduces criminal and antisocial behavior. And of course, it supports community and social development. So just bear in mind, let me go back for a little, that we pay 80% from a minimum of $150,000 to a maximum of $600,000. All right, so just bear that in mind. Some of the scholarship focus areas for 2026, these are the areas that we're covering this year: agriculture, construction, creative industries, engineering, global digital services, information and communications technology, logistics, manufacturing, renewable energy, and tourism. The years before, because I heard someone ask a question, what about the health, the health scholarships? This scholarship in heart has been running for about 3 years. And we did scholarship for persons, a lot of nurses. I'm not sure if we'll be taking on any this year, but the focus this year is on these. So we did last year, we did nursing, we did a mixture of programs last year. Nursing, we did business management, we did law, but this year we want to truly focus on these areas that are specified here. Not to say that we would not accept someone from another area once they're able to show that they really need a scholarship. But these are the areas that we're focusing on for this year. All right. Am I eligible for this scholarship? How do I register? All right. So for us to apply for this TVET scholarship, we must be a Jamaican citizen, 17 years and over. Be a first-year student, full-time or part-time student at an accredited local tertiary institution. So we normally ask for a letter of acceptance, and that is how we begin our process. The candidate should be doing their first degree only, and it's just you're doing your degree for the first time. If you have a degree already and you want to apply for another, then we will not be able to support you in that regard. But once you are doing your first degree for the first time, we welcome you to apply. You're not benefiting from any other governmental scholarship. As was said before, we give you 80%, and the other 20% you can get from a non-governmental scholarship, but not a governmental one. You provide proof of membership in an established club. So you must be a part of a service club, a youth club, a community club, or a church group. And when persons are applying, they would submit the necessary letters indicating that information. Additionally, person must demonstrate a financial need. We'll talk a little bit more about that. Persons would submit their completed HEART application form along with a referee form and attend a selection interview. All right, have we gotten that? First time doing your degree, 17 years old, you're not attached to another scholarship, and you must demonstrate the financial need. You provide proof of membership of a club. So you must be actively involved in a club. All right? And you must attend a selection interview. TVET scholarship and the application and selection process. So what we normally do to advertise or to promote, we do sessions like these, as well as we promote it through our social media pages. We normally send out a flyer to institutions, social media, and this will be available in the 3rd week of May. So by the 3rd week of May is like next week. So I want persons to start gearing up and start checking our social media pages because the flyer will be out. On the social media pages, that's Facebook, that's not Twitter, probably Twitter, but Facebook and Instagram mainly. Registration, persons would complete, once you receive that flyer, it will have a QR code or it will have a registration link that you would use to register. Now, what we do is to accept application forms electronically. All right, so the flyer would inform persons what are the requirements, how they are to apply, and what are the documentations that are needed for persons to be eligible or apply for the program. All right, so registration normally closes by June 2026. We're only accepting 20 scholarship this year recipients. We know we might receive quite a number of applications, but we normally go through, and based on the demonstrable financial need, then we would choose persons accordingly. All right, so persons would respond to the flyer by uploading their documents electronically, and on the flyer, it will also tell you where you should upload these documents. After persons apply, we go through a selection process. We go through a process where we identify those persons who are really in need of the scholarship based on the response on the application form. Once we have done that, we would communicate with persons and let them know that they're accepted for the scholarship, but they must participate in an interview exercise. So persons are usually notified of the interviews. And in that interview as well, persons are asked about TVET. What is TVET? What does TVET means to them? They are also able to tell us why is it that they think they should be a beneficiary of this scholarship. All right. We normally use a criteria mechanism to choose persons based on their responses as well as to who will receive this scholarship. Once you are accepted, the candidate would get an email saying that they have received the scholarship. The next thing in line now, so I'm kind of walking you through the process. The next thing is that the candidate would submit their acceptance letter from school along with an invoice to say the amount of money that would be required for that candidate to pay for the financial year. All right? And that is where the whole process begins. So we just spoke about the application phase where persons would submit their application form. We go through a process of shortlisting. The award phase, if you are accepted after doing the interview, we offer you a letter. We normally send persons who we have not been able to provide scholarship to. We also send them a letter. The students who are accepted, they also have to accept the scholarship. They would submit their invoice and other required documents. During the scholarship, we have to do our checks and balances. So we normally ask students to submit their transcript because we want to make sure that you are on the path of being a successful candidate. All right. So we normally ask for your transcript. During that time too, we do our disbursements of checks. And during the process too, we do a scholarship continuity for persons to determine if they continue on the scholarship or if we have to do some amount of intervention with that student. All right. So once persons has completed their studies, because the scholarship is for the duration is either for 3 or 4 years, we cover your 80% once you maintain your GPA of 3.0. Okay. These are some TVET scholarship recipients. These are persons who have benefited from the scholarship program over the years. And some of them have already graduated. I remember 2 persons from my group has successfully completed their scholarship and they sent me their degree and they are now on to great things. The process for applying is not difficult, right? You just need to make sure that you follow the process as outlined on the flyer. And just to remind you that the flyer will become available by next week. But where will the information be posted? On the Heart Trust page, Heart NSTA Trust web pages. It will be on the social media pages, which is Facebook and Twitter. So I want you to start looking out for those information. All right. You can take a screenshot of our contact details. So this is the website where the flyer will be posted on the social media pages, Facebook and Twitter. And this is our telephone contact. So if you're not seeing the flyer anywhere in the social media or just, you can call us and we can also speak to you about the scholarship. Additionally, persons can upload or send their once they have received the flyer and they have all their documentation ready, you can also submit your application to TVET scholarships at heart-nsta.org. All right, so take a screenshot of this so you can keep up with what is happening in Heart. We will now have Ms. Mackenzie to speak on the other available programs for tertiary students.
Good morning. Am I being heard?
Yes.
Okay, great. Good morning, everyone. My name is Alverna Mackenzie. I am one of the recruitment officers for the parish of St. Anne. Thank you so much for extending an invitation to us to share our suite of programs with you. I will be speaking briefly on the various programs that we offer, as well, both institution-wise and work-based. So in order to apply for any of our programs, you must be at least 17 years old. That's a given. You must have a TRN, a valid government ID. Qualifications is not mandatory for some of the programs, but for some it is. I will expound further. And also birth certificate, a passport size photograph, a resume in some cases. So in the parish of St. Anne, we have 2 traditional heart institutions and 3 community-based training interventions. We have the Beechamville Vocational Training Center in Claremont, St. Anne, where they focus on all the construction-related programs. So if your focus is in the construction sector, then Beechamville would be the place to go. If it is that you're focusing on hospitality, then that would be the Hart College of Hospitality Services in Runaway Bay. And they cater to all the hospitality programs: housekeeping, food and beverage, food preparation, accounting, front office. They also offer social media management, level 4, and all the higher level programs for the hospitality sector is done there. So if you are in food preparation, for example, and you want to become a sous chef, an executive chef, Hart College of Hospitality Services is the place to go. They also offer high-level programs in hotel and tourism management. For the community-based programs, that would be a bit below your level. However, I will still inform you in the event you know someone who may be interested in the area. We do cosmetology and general beauty therapy in Brownstown at the Brownstown School of Cosmetology. We also do electrical, plumbing, and food and beverage at the Belair Skills Training Center, also in Brownstown. We offer plumbing, electrical, and allied healthcare in Ocho at the Rotary Skills Training Center. Through the parish office, we offer the work-based training programs, which would be more suitable for you once you have completed your program. So through the parish office, we offer 5 work-based training programs. We do the registered apprenticeship program, the school leavers training opportunities program, the National Service Corps program, the empowerment program, which is specific to persons with disability, can be mild intellectual disability, can be a physical disability. And we have the graduate work experience program, commonly known as GWEP, which would be the one for you. As it is right now, the GWEP program is on hold because it's being rebranded. You may start to hear the name LEAP for short. So the GWEP program is going to be renamed, it's going to be revamped, there are new benefits to the program, but in essence, you'll be placed in an organization to work for a year. You will receive a monthly stipend. So once you have successfully completed either an associate degree or a bachelor's degree or a master's degree, whatever it is that you have completed, you now need to get some industry exposure. That's where we come in with the GWEP program. So we would place you in the company to work, you would be there for a year, you receive a stipend on a monthly basis, and that's where you get your experience to couple with your certificate so that you're more marketable for a more permanent job. There are companies who sometimes employ our trainees because of how well they work. So it is up to you. The onus is on you to go out there, sell yourself, give it your best shot so that you stand a better chance of being employed at the end of your training program. Outside of that, we offer job placement services. So if you complete the GWEP program, you're still unemployed, you can come right back to Heart and we will assist you in finding employment. Whether you did your training with Heart or another college, it doesn't matter. We cater to everyone in the country. We offer career guidance as well. So if it is that you complete your degree and, at the end of it, you're thinking, oh, I was successful, but I'm not really feeling it. This is not what I really want to do. We have career services officers that you can speak with. They will give you a psychometric test just to see your strengths, your weaknesses, your likes, your dislikes, and so on, just to help you be more focused on your career path based on your specific interest. We have CSEC classes free of cost, but you'd pay for the exams. We do City and Guilds. We do continuing education. So it's a whole world of programs, and it doesn't stop there because each region offers different programs. Each region focuses on a different sector. So it all depends on what you're interested in doing. And we have institutions that offers boarding. So if you complete your soft skill and you want a technical skill, Heart is the place to be. Thank you. If you have any questions, you can feel free to ask.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Mackenzie.
Oh, yes, you're still on. No
All
problem.
right. Yes. So thank you, colleagues, friends, customers, for listening to what it is that we have to offer from Heart as it relates to TVET scholarship and as it relates to program offerings. So even if you're finished with your tertiary institution and you want to come to Heart Trust, we are available to support you 100%, both with a scholarship and also to scaffold or, to undergird whatever skill you might have or have collected at the tertiary institution. That ends our presentation.
All right. Thank you so much, Ms. Mackenzie and Mrs. Thomas.
You are welcome.
Oh, wow. It was another great presentation. Listen, you are getting some gems right now. You know, everybody who's online, I see that the numbers are now at 49. And if you're just joining again, this is our J-TEC Scholarship and Financing webinar. I'm Brittany Clark, your moderator, and we've heard such informative presentations from our persons so online so far, and the institutions who are really making it possible for persons to achieve a higher education. So, of course, from the heart, NSTA Trust, if they would have shared about their TVET scholarship along with the other programs and offerings, not just by the parish, but across the region, because each each region rather focuses on something different. So you have the opportunity to even travel outside of your parish or outside of your community to access quality education. And of course, you also can get assistance with job placement, which is another challenge that a lot of persons, once they finish their tertiary studies, they do have a little challenge finding their place in the world of work. So Heart is with you. They are your partners in crime for tertiary, as well as for, of course, your career building opportunities. So thank you so much. Do we have any questions coming for the team at Heart? I'm not seeing any so far.
Right. So we are monitoring the chat on YouTube. We have quite a number of questions. So one of the questions from Heart from Renee is if you are pursuing an associate degree in ICT at VTDI year 2, can I benefit from the TVET scholarship? So Renee wants to know if she can benefit from the TVET scholarship, being in year 2, doing an associate degree in ICT at VTDI.
All right. Thank you, Renee, for that question. And can I say, Renee, when you get to the bachelor's level, are you going to be doing the bachelor's? You can open your microphone if you're able to.
She's on YouTube, so she's not able to open her microphone.
Oh, she's not able to. All right. So it's for first year students doing their first degree. So if she completes her associate and she's desirous of doing the first degree, then she could apply for the scholarship.
Right. Thank you for that. We also have another question on YouTube. This individual wants to know, you mentioned doing CSEC at Heart. Can you do that without doing a skill? So they want to know more about some of the Heart programs.
All right. Ms. Mackenzie?
Yes, they can do the CSEC programs without doing a skill. So the adult continuing education specifically focuses on literacy and numeracy skills. If persons are, they need to improve in those areas, as well as the CSEC subjects. So we have different subjects that you can pursue: math, English, social studies, accounting, principles of business, information technology. So if it is that you only want to do the CSEC subjects, then yes. And there are some of the centers that offers the classes in the evenings on a part-time basis. So while you're studying at college, if you have the time in the evenings, then based on where you live and the schools that are closest to you, then you may have an opportunity to do the classes in the evenings.
Okay, wonderful. Well, we also have received a response from Renee. She said that she is planning on pursuing the bachelor's in ICT.
Great. So once she has started, so once she's about to start and we're starting to promote the scholarship during that timeline, then that is the time she would register or apply for the scholarship.
All right, wonderful. Another listener on YouTube wants to find out about Heart entities in Manchester. So they're interested in attending your Heart entities in Manchester. So if you could share some of those locations for our audience.
All right, Ms. Mackenzie, we'll take that one.
Sure, just 1 second. I am coming. Manchester. All right, so for the Manchester locations, we have the Newport campus, and let me just pull up their address to be certain. Just a second. All right, so the regional office for Manchester is located on shops 1 and 2, lot 18, Caledonia Mall. And their contact number is 962-0543 or 962-3393 or 625-1105 or the Hearts customer service contact for the entire organization 994-3278. So if you try any of those previous numbers and you're not getting through, then you can reach out through the contact center and they will transfer you to the regional office. Now, the regional offices and parish offices are responsible basically for the parish. So they will provide you with all the necessary details you need in terms of the upcoming programs for September, because we have 3 intake periods now, January, May, and September. So once you reach out to them, they'll be able to tell you the specific skills that they have coming up for September and the different locations in the parish.
All right, thank you, Ms. Mackenzie. I think one final question on YouTube. They want to find out about graduate scholarships. If Heart also offers graduate scholarships.
All right, so graduate scholarships would be, thank you for that question, would be referred to a master's degree program? Would it be
Yes.
that? That's what the person is referring to? No.
Yes.
No, only for the first degree.
Okay, wonderful. But I can also provide some further guidance on that in terms of graduate scholarships that are available. If you visit our scholarship database, we have a few scholarships that persons interested in studying or pursuing graduate programs can access. So we have the OAS scholarships. So they do offer masters and doctoral, well, scholarships at the master's and doctoral level in finance, management, environmental studies, and agriculture. There is also the CRIF scholarship. There's a postgraduate programs, and those scholarships are tenable for UTEC, UE, NCU, and the UCC. We also have the Ministry of Education. So we had Miss Williams earlier that shared scholarship opportunities at the graduate level. So we have quite a number of scholarships. I'm going to encourage our audience on YouTube to visit our scholarship database at J-TEC, where they'll be able to identify some of those scholarships that are offered at the graduate level. And the link is also posted in the chat.
All right. I'm also seeing some questions in the chat as well. So I see one coming from, I believe that's YouTube. I live in Kingston. Can you say which Heart Institute does CX use?
Miss Mackenzie will respond.
Mackenzie. Okay.
Yes, I am pulling up the information. Just a moment.
No problem. While you pull that up, I see that Ms. Rule from UTEC says that UTEC has master scholarships, so you can explore those as well. So definitely more opportunities there. I also saw a raised hand. The hand is now down. But if you need to ask a question, feel free to raise your hand again. And then we have one more question coming from Owen Martin, which I'll ask afterwards. So.
All right, so for the CSEC classes in the Kingston area, one of our parish offices is located on 6B Oxford Road, Kingston 5, and they will be able to tell you the exact locations closer to your address that offers the CSEC classes. So once you reach out to the office on Oxford Road, then you will be able to get more details to the specific addresses. I know that for Garmix Academy on Marcus Garvey Drive, they also do the CSEC classes there as well.
All right, thank you so much. I'll take Oshika Malcolm. Her hand is raised.
Hi, good afternoon. Good morning. Good morning. Regarding the MSc scholarship, could you post the link in the chat as to where we can apply for the scholarship? Also, is there an maximum age limit for persons, for applicants who are interested to apply?
Right, is this one for Heart or for UTEC?
For not the first, not the J-TEC, I think it's OMS.
Okay. Miss
The
Smith?
master's scholarship,
So,
not for UTEC.
right,
Okay.
right. So the OS scholarship, I'm not seeing an age limit on that, but we will definitely post the link to our scholarship database, which will provide further details on the different scholarships that are offered at the graduate level, as well as the URL link to those scholarships. So that will be posted in the chat shortly.
All right, thank you so much. All
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for your question. All right, this is the final one we'll take from Owen Martin. So he's asking if it can be repeated what was said about going to college and doing courses in the afternoon. I would like to know how that goes, because he's currently a second-year student, but would also like other skills in different areas, if you don't mind explaining. So I believe that's for Miss Mackenzie, just to explain how persons can attend classes and courses in the afternoon.
Yes, so we do have skill areas that are done on a part-time basis. And by part-time, it can be fully online in the evenings, or it can be a blended modality where some of the classes are online and some are face-to-face, or it can be in the evenings face-to-face fully. It depends on the institution in your area and the skill that you are interested in. For example, here in St. Anne, our part-time programs includes drywall installer, tiling, masonry, carpentry, and those programs can be done in the evenings or on the weekends. For the CSEC classes, I was saying that there are some institutions that offers it on a part-time basis in the evenings, separate and apart from the ones that does it for the full day. So it depends on your location, and once you reach out, each parish has a parish office or a regional office that can provide you with all the necessary details in terms of the community-based institutions, the continuing education centers, and the traditional art institutions. So just reach out to your parish office in your parish, and they will guide you accordingly.
All right, thank you so much. And Omar, I hope that answered Owen, rather, I hope that answered your question. All right, so if there are no other questions, we'll now move to our final presenter for this session. And for persons just joining, we are in the J-TEC Scholarship and Financing webinar. We've heard from a series of institutions and all the opportunities they've shared. And coming up next, we have the Students' Loan Bureau, Jamaica's premier student loan financing organization, and they're committed to ensuring that qualified students have equal opportunity and access to higher education. So at this time, I'll invite Mrs. Crystal Barrows McDonald to lead us in presentation and tell us all about how we can help the SLB work for us. All right, thank you.
Good morning. Thank you so much to J-TEC for having me. Everybody can hear me clearly?
Yes. Yes.
Right, fantastic. So I just want to delve into the presentation. Thanks again to J-TEC for having me. Now, at the Students' Loan Bureau, what exactly do? We provide funding for Jamaican nationals pursuing tertiary level education and needs assistance with tuition financing. Now, 99% of the persons who apply for SLB financing are successful. So you don't need to worry about not getting the loan. Nobody is denied. All right. If you are in that 1%, it doesn't mean an automatic denial. It means that you would have been referred to a different loan solution or loan product. But everybody gets a student loan. Now we have 3 loan solution or loan products that we offer at the Students' Loan Bureau, namely the targeted loan, which is an undergraduate loan. We also have the PAYS or Pay As You Study loan, and ultimately we have the postgraduate loan. So the postgrad loan are for persons who are pursuing either a master's, an MPhil, PhD, etc. Now, under our targeted loan, this loan solution really caters to persons who are pursuing undergraduate studies. And by that, I mean persons who are doing either an associate degree, a certificate, or a bachelor's degree. Borrowers are not required to repay their loan until completion of studies. So you're not paying back while in school, but you're paying back after completing your course of study. So that takes the stress out of your academic journey. So say, for example, you're going to JTEC. It is not until you've completed your 4 years doing medical technology that you're required to start repaying the loan. Additionally, you get 100% tuition funding, right? There are only a few exceptions to include the unsponsored or non-subsidized programs like law and medicine. But for those programs, what we've done is to merge 2 loan products, one being the targeted and the other being the Pay As You Study, where you get up to $2 million. So $1 million for the PAYS or the Pay As You Study loan, and you get another $1 million through the targeted loan. So that's only in unique cases where you're doing non-subsidized or unsponsored programs. Now, usually, persons get 15 to 20 years to repay the loan, all right? We boast one of the lowest interest rates in the marketplace and in the market space. Because if you go to a bank or credit union, you're contending with over 20% in terms of interest. We are under our targeted loan, we are a mere 7.8% that's accrued while you're in school. And then once you enter repayment, that 7.8 cuts off, and then you contend with a 9.5% interest rate in the repayment period. So at no point are you dealing with those interest rates concurrently or at the same time, right? So it's 7.8% that's accrued while you're in the moratorium or the in-school period. That cuts off, and then you contend with the 9.5% during your repayment period. Now, as I said, I reiterate that you get up to $1 million under this loan product. No guarantor is required. We've removed the guarantor requirement for all our loan solutions, all right? And under the targeted loan, the application period starts mid-June every year, okay? Now, after having completed your 4-year tenure or your 3-year tenure, depending on which school, because UE is 3 years usually, and JTEC 4 years, NCU, etc. So you are, after getting the full 3 or full 4 years to complete your course of study, you don't start to repay the loan immediately upon completion of your studies. We give you an additional 14 months on top of those 4 or 3 years before you start to physically repay the loan. Right? So that is an additional 14 months on top of your 3 or 4 years before you start to repay. So you start to repay, say you end 2028 June, right? Your program of study. You are not required to start paying us back until 2029 September. So 2028 June, completion date, but you're not required to start paying us back until September 2029. So what that does is that it gives you time to find your financial footing so you can begin to start repaying the loan comfortably. The hope is that you will find employment by then because you are now qualified and employable. Now, under our targeted loan, you also have the opportunity to get a grant in aid. All right? And that grant is in the amount of $60,000. It is not something you can apply for. It is something that you're automatically assessed for once you apply for a loan. So you cannot apply for the grant without having applied for a loan. Meaning, you can't contact us to say you want the SLB grant, but you're not applying for the loan. So there, you have to apply for the loan, and then you're automatically assessed for the grant. All right? And a grant is not something that you repay. It's a gift. It's a monetary gift, so it's non-repayable. We will now move into the other loan product, which is called the pay-as-you-study loan product. Now, for the pay-as-you-study, as the name suggests, you are servicing that loan while you are in school. So it's different from the targeted loan where you repay after completing your course of study. So this one, it's really catering to our targeting employed professionals who are able to pay back while in school. Also, for parents who want to take this loan, they can for a child, for a dependent student rather. The parent has to be working, has to be able to facilitate a salary deduction arrangement, right? So the parent would be the principal borrower while the student is treated as the dependent student because they're not physically paying, they're attending school while the parent is repaying that loan. So under this loan product, the pay as you study, you access up to $1 million per academic year. You repay via salary deduction and you get 10 years or 120 months to repay. So the interest rate also is 6% per annum on the reducing balance. So it is even lower than that of the targeted loan where it's 7.8%, right? And 9.5% respectively. This interest rate is actually lower and you're servicing that loan right away. So it means that by the time you would have finished school, your balance would have gone down somewhat. No guarantor again is required. A credit check under this loan type is mandatory for the person who is the principal borrower, whether it be a relative, parent, older sibling, or you yourself if you are working and you want to go back to school. You can also apply for the pay-as-you-study loan for a year in the back. So you can apply retroactively, right? So if it is that you have a year outstanding and you did not pay for, under the pays loan product, we can give you a loan for a year that has gone by, all right? And for all our loan products, you apply online. Now, for first-time applicants, how to apply? You would visit our website during our application period, which I indicated was June, mid-June every year. So you'd go on to our website at www.slbja.com and you click the Apply Online tab to access our customer portal. You would select Sign Up on the portal and complete the registration process with an active email address and mobile number. Now, that active email address, I'd like to encourage us to have professional emails, no sexy Tammy, right? So, because we're dealing with organizations now, so we have to be professional, all right? You would also pay your fees on our customer portal, right? You are required to pay an insurance sum as well as an application fee. So you can pay those now on our portal. You don't have to go to a third-party agency, say a Bill Express or Paymaster anymore. If you don't desire to do so, you can pay directly on our customer portal. All right. And again, you also have the option to utilize the third-party agencies. All right. Now, after having uploaded some of your documents, there are certain other documents, legal documents, that need to be submitted, right? So you would utilize our Dropbox. So you'll come to our office because those documents require a wet signature. So we need those documents to be taken in physically, right? So you can utilize our Dropbox facility at our office. Now we have partnered with some schools to include JTEC, MICO, NCU, UEMONA. So those schools have a Dropbox on campus. So students are afforded the opportunity to drop off there, and then the school sends those contract documents to us at the SLP. Now, let us go into what documents are required, because you need to start preparing yourselves for the application process, right? Which is just around the corner. So firstly, you need your TRN, right? Tax registration number. We also need your birth certificate, a certified passport-sized photograph, right? And a valid government-issued ID. That being either passport, driver's license, or national ID. If it is that when you're applying, you do not have a government-issued identification, right? You can submit 2 passport-size photographs, because 1, we're taking it as the passport-size photograph, but the 2 would be as a valid form of identification. We will take that from you in the interim. But before you complete your processing, we strongly recommend or advise that you get the government-issued identification, but we'll take the second passport-size photograph in the interim. We also need proof of address, and that comes in either the form of a utility bill or a bank statement. But if you have neither of those, we have developed a proof of address form. It's available on our website in our resource center. So you can simply download and have a justice of the peace, attorney at law, or a medical practitioner certify that you live at your particular address. The last thing that we require, well, proof of income for the person who's financially responsible for you. I don't want persons to confuse proof of income for the person who's financially responsible for you with a guarantor. A guarantor is somebody who's standing as surety for you and takes default. And by default, if it is that you are not making your payments, that person takes full responsibility to repay the loan. In this case, the person who's financially responsible for you is just somebody in the household who's working, who sustains you financially or takes care of you. So the person is not a guarantor, right? But we have to know what income is being generated in the household, right? To see which loan you're qualified for, right? So they're not the same things. We just want to know who the head of the household is and who is responsible for you financially, all right? Not a guarantor. We also, I didn't put that there, but it goes without saying, we also need an acceptance letter. The acceptance letter, it has to say that you're fully matriculated in your program. It cannot be a conditional offer or a provisional offer. You have to be fully matriculated in your program. Now, even though the acceptance letter is a required document, you can apply to us while you are awaiting an acceptance letter, because you can get loan approval without being accepted at your school of choice. So we can assess you based on what is being generated in the household, right? Using the person who is financially responsible for you to see if we're able to establish need through that person, right? But so we can give you the loan or loan approval without you being accepted. However, what we won't do is that we won't disburse any money until we have proof that you've been accepted. All right. So again, you can apply to the student's loan without being accepted in your program of choice, right? You can get loan approval without being accepted again. But what we won't do is that we won't disburse any money to the institution until we have proof through an application acceptance letter that you've been accepted. All right. Now, what are some of the advantages of accessing an SLB targeted loan? We have one of the lowest interest rates in the marketplace. There is a moratorium or in-school period where no payments are required, which takes the stress out of your academic journey because you're able to focus strictly on school. You also have the opportunity to get a grant to assist you with school-related expenses, and you get an extended graduation date, which is the 14 months I made mention of, and we require absolutely no collateral. Now we have special groups that we cater to. Path beneficiaries, those persons do not pay an application fee. All they're required to do is to pay an insurance premium. So that's $6,250. It's waived for all path beneficiaries. Also, the path beneficiaries are automatically eligible to receive that $60,000 grant. The other special group are wards of the state, and those are persons who are in homes operated by the government. So those persons are not required to pay the application fee, okay? And they're also second in line in terms of getting that grant in aid of $60,000. Also, if you belong to a very low income household, we will also consider you for the grant. So it's three set of persons who are considered for the grant, right? And in terms of a ranking order, it's the path beneficiary. Secondly, we have the wards of state, and then we have those persons who belong to very low income households. All right? Those persons are automatically eligible for the grant in aid. All right? Based on availability. Okay, now we have child of a public sector worker. So once you're a child of a public sector worker, you receive a 1% reduction in the interest rate during the moratorium. And the moratorium is just a big word for the in-school period, right? And the repayment period. So it's two-pronged or two-folded. So it's under the targeted loan, 7.8% moves to 6.8% in the moratorium period or the in-school period. And once you enter repayment, the 9.5% moves down by 1%, which is 8.5%. And you get a 35% discount in the processing or application fee, which takes you from $6,250 to, I believe, about $4,200 and odd or $300 and odd thereabout. Now, another special group Michelle would have made mention are the JAMVAT from the Ministry of Education. The persons who do the JAMVAT, Jamaica Values and Attitude Program, once you're qualified for that 30%, right? By doing your 200 hours of public service, then the ministry would give you the 30%, and then at the Students' Loan Bureau, because the information is passed on to us from the ministry, we would not give you the 100% tuition because we have knowledge that you would have gotten the 30%. So you get the 70% instead from us at the SLB once you have satisfied all the criteria at the MOE, all right, under the JAMVAT program. And for persons who are employed to register charity for at least 1 year, they benefit from a 10% debt forgiveness when they're in repayment. There are special group concessions also for persons who are doing anything related to STEM, and it goes further to those persons who are doing any course in maritime logistics. So all the CMU persons, anybody doing anything in maritime logistics and supply chain management, etc., persons going to CASE doing agricultural science, engineering, or anything in ICT, your interest rate is not 7.8% under our targeted loan, but it is 6%. So you get a special reduced interest rate. All right. Now we have a good standing promotion that we're running. So for the persons who are in school, once your GPA is 2.5 and over while in school or in the moratorium period, you get a 2% discount in the interest rate. So that 7.8 that I spoke to you about under the targeted loan, that moves to 5.8%, right? Once your GPA is 2.5 and over. And this program is two-pronged because it also assists persons who are in repayment. It also rewards persons who are in repayment as well. So customers who consistently make their payments on time and are no more than 30 days past due, they also get a 2% discount in the interest rate. So that 9.5% changes to 7.5%. So that's the good standing promotion or program. Now, just to note, the customer portal was only accessible to persons who are still attending school, so persons who are still in the moratorium period. Since last year, December, repayment customers are able to make payments online in a secure environment, and they're now able to generate statements using their debit and credit cards. All right, and you're able to track your balances now online for those persons who are in repayment or may have had a prior loan. So that really encapsulates my presentation. I'd recommend that you apply to us in mid-June, and it was a pleasure. All right, thank you.
All right, thank you as well. So I've been seeing a number of questions in the chat, so let me get to those. I see one here. It says, I came to the office in Kingston to complete my application process and was told by the clerk I could not be processed because I was past my second year. Is that so? And can persons over 36 apply?
All right, the first one, I'm a little bit unclear, but there's no age limit to apply to the student loan. So the 36, that doesn't matter.
Okay.
Let me see if I can recall or understand what you're saying. The person came, can the person say when, in terms of the month, how recent they came? Because if it is that they came to apply for a September the upcoming academic year, we are still doing our reconciliation for 25-26. So it means that because we haven't opened the 26-27 period, they'll be straddling both. So they will have to wait until we open the new or the upcoming period before they can apply, because they'll be straddling 25-26 when they really want a loan for 26-27, if I'm understanding what the person is putting forward.
All right, no problem. So not sure if that person, that's coming from YouTube, so if they can provide a little more clarity so we can have a clear answer. All right, I'm seeing Gabriel Green. In regards to law, is that in regard to Norman Manley as well, or is there an alternative option for that?
No, for the LLB, that is the one that is unsponsored or non-subsidized. So you can take the two loan types simultaneously, right? But as it relates to Norman Manley, where you do the certification, right? The legal certification, that one we give you the full tuition for that.
Okay, thank you. All right, I'm seeing another here. Is the grant renewable or is it one time?
Renewable is not the word, but I know what you're saying. The grant, if you get it in year one, it doesn't mean that you'll get it in year 2 or year 3. The truth is a new pool enters each year, right? So their need level might be, a little bit higher than yours. So you may be put aside for that. But there are persons I know who would have gotten it in year 1, year 2, and year 3, right? So it depends on your circumstance. So it's not automatic right through, but once you get it 1 year, you're considered for the other years to come.
All right. And I see one more here coming in from Elia as well. Can you switch who the person facilitating the salary deduction is under the PAYS loan after starting?
Yes.
Yes.
Because if that person happens to be not working, happens to be unemployed, right, then naturally we would want somebody who is able to service that loan. So yes, there can be a switch.
All right, perfect. All right, and lots of questions coming in. Here's another one from Nikisha. It says, good day, is there a section on the targeted loan application which requires information regarding utilities, etc., and work details? And what if you are currently not working?
All right. Remember that we're trying to establish needs. So if it is that you're not working, it's all the better for you because you would be establishing needs. It means that you would be qualified for whatever loan you're applying for, especially the targeted loan, which is the one that is basically, trying to reach those persons who are unable to pay while they are in school. And there is no section on the form that captures utilities. So if it is, say, for example, there are instances where we'd want additional information from you. Say, for example, you apply for the targeted loan, but based on the fact that when we assess your household and we see that the income that's being generated is above threshold, we will refer you to the pay as you study loan product. So if you believe that, there are things that would not have been captured on the application form. Say, for example, my grandmother is diabetic and she has to go to the doctor and medical on a monthly basis, and that is not captured. There are other things that you're dealing with that is not captured on the SLB application. So you would appeal that decision and you would have to show us proof through writing to us and then submitting those supplementary documents.
All right. All right. Thank you. All right. Next one here. Can a returning SLB applicant reapply for student loan to cover the remaining balance if they obtain a scholarship that only covers part of the tuition?
Can you repeat that for me?
Sure. So it says, can a returning SLB applicant reapply for student loan to cover the remaining balance if they obtain a scholarship that only covers part of the tuition? So for example, if they get a scholarship that covers 50%, can they request a student loan to cover the balance?
I got it. Yes. Right. So yes, you can apply, you can indicate to us that you've gotten a scholarship and do the scholarship waiver through your institution. And we will fund you the difference.
Okay. All right, perfect. All right, so another here, does the targeted loan require a guarantor?
None of our loan solutions or loan products, we no longer require guarantors. We remove that component.
Okay, awesome. And what if the public sector worker died? Does the reduction still apply? I'm assuming if that's in relation to the loan.
No, well, it wouldn't apply if the person is no longer living.
Okay.
Right?
And someone here is asking, what about special education? I'm assuming they're asking if student loan provides support for special education.
I believe that we do fund special education. I believe we do because it's under the schools, and once it's an accredited course through the UCJ, then automatically we fund it 100%.
Okay, good. Thank you. Okay, I'll take these last few. So this one says, are funds for loans guaranteed to be dispersed on time? They've heard of cases where persons do not receive funding in time for deadlines.
All right. Sometimes we have issues with students submitting all documents, right, at the same time. So we get them piecemeal, and we cannot disburse any money until we have all the contracts in order and all fees have been paid. So disbursement is contingent upon the proper completion of the documents, right? And fees are paid. With some of our schools, we share an API, which is an integrated system. If we do not confirm registration, even if you're complete and we're not able to confirm that you're registered for semester 1 and or semester 2, we will not disburse, because you can engage us, complete your documents, and you don't go to school. The school is the authority figure there, and they would have to indicate that you are in fact confirmed in terms of your registration for first and second semester. So sometimes we have those issues, but once those are dealt with and you submit timely and the school is able to confirm a registration, disbursement is done in a timely manner.
Awesome, awesome. Okay, so another one here from Aliyah. Is there a salary cutoff for the PAYS loan? For example, could a student working part-time be eligible to facilitate salary deductions?
Well, it's not, we don't have a set figure to say that, okay, if you're earning this, you won't be able to take the pays. How it works is we look at the income that is being generated by the person matched up against how much is being borrowed. So we go into your income and expenditure and we look at your debt service ratio, right? To establish whether or not you're financially competent to start for the loan. All right. If you're not, you just appoint somebody else to do so for you.
All right, good stuff. So we have two more. The first one, if you started the application process last year, but didn't utilize the loan because you deferred, how do I continue the application for this year, or do I start a new application?
All right. So you wouldn't have taken up the loan offer because you would have deferred your acceptance.
Right.
So for this year, you don't need to re-register. Right? Because you've already registered. That means you're in our database. However, when you go back onto the portal, you're going to see new loan. So after selecting targeted loan, you're going to see new loan and returning student. You are going to select new loan because you're not returning because you didn't take up the loan offer for the prior year. So no re-registering, you're just logging in your credentials and you're selecting new loan.
All right, great stuff. All right, and this is the final one I'll take for now. Oh, I'm seeing, oh man, more coming in, All right, J-TEC TV can advise me on the timing. I'm going to take the next one. So here's another. If I receive JAMVAT assistance as a student studying under a non-sponsored program like medicine, will I still be eligible for the full $1 million under the targeted / PAYS loan?
If it is that you usually give you 70%, but in situations like that, you can get the 1 million, seeing that if you're doing an unsponsored program, you should be able to get the full $1 million.
Okay. And someone here says they saw so they're questioning if there's an age cutoff for the persons facilitating the PAYS loan, or do they have to be working? And she mentions that she saw where they had to be under the age of 60 years. So some clarification there.
Well, for the pay as you study, remember that it's a loan that you're servicing while you are in school. So naturally, it can't be somebody who's retired, and we would have just match it against the retirement age. So there are persons who are still working beyond 60. So if we go, I think we would accept you on a case by case basis up to 65.
Okay.
Right? Because some persons go up to 65.
Okay. Awesome. All right. And this one says, can students apply for loans for schools overseas? And does it have to be a UCJ accredited program only?
All right. So in the past, we funded schools overseas. However, we are now mandated by the government to fund local universities. The only exceptions are UE affiliates, which would include UE St. Augustine and UE Cave Hill. So nothing beyond those.
Beyond those. All right, perfect. And the final one I'm seeing in the chat, what if you paid off a loan from SLB for a first degree? Would you be qualified for another loan?
Yes, because we have 3 loans, and I explained that once you would have done the bachelor's in something, and that's you took the targeted loan, you can move on to doing a postgraduate loan. Yes.
Excellent. All right, so that's it for the round of questions. But of course, if you have any more questions, feel free to send them to the J-TEC team at JTEC, that's JTEC at moey.gov.jm. It's available in the chat for you. And of course, they'll accept and redirect all queries. And if you have any student loan specific questions, you may also send them to info@slbja.com, or you can call any of those numbers you're seeing in the chat at this time. So thank you so much, Mrs. Barrows McDonald, for sticking around with us and answering all the questions.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. So while we're on, we do have an evaluation form that we'd love for you to complete. So for everyone in the chat and on the YouTube, please take the time to complete the survey, as we will use your information to help to improve future sessions. All right. So the link is in the chat. So please take the time to complete that before you go. But thank you all so much for sticking around with us as we heard from more presenters. I want to say a special thanks to Tracy Ann Smith, our Director of Policy Planning and Research, for just managing this webinar with us today, bringing everybody together to make it effective. I want to thank members of her team. Brittany worked with me closely in getting the information across. So thank you so much, Brittany Morgan. Also want to thank our presenters who are here today from the Ministry of Education, Skills, Youth and Information, Ms. Michelle Williams, our team lead at the Tertiary Students Assistance Program. Also want to thank Ms. Terry-Ann Rule from J-TEC, our Acting Scholarship Officer and Welfare Officer. Also Mrs. Shauna Thomas, along with Ms. Mackenzie from the Heart NSTA Trust. And they gave an insightful presentation, 2 presentations about the offerings there. And of course, rounding out today's session, Mrs. Crystal Barrows McDonald, or Marketing and Promotions Officer for the Students Loan Bureau. So everyone, it was a wonderful session. You're most welcome, Ms. Grant. Thanks for the great information, she says. And we want to ensure that you all be reminded that you must take advantage of these opportunities. They come around. A lot of times they go unclaimed, but you are here, you have the information. So the best thing you can do is apply, put yourself forward, and you will be able to get a wide range of opportunities and information. So currently, Rodney, the recording will be available on YouTube for you to review. And remember to share the link, share the resources with your peers, because you never know who may benefit from this experience. Again, it's all about access, ensuring access and equal opportunity. So you want to be able to be a part of that as well. All right, so thanks everyone. Remember to follow J-TEC on the social media as well. You'll also get additional updates about future webinars and events. So it's JTEC_MOE. So please remember to follow them and get all those details. And of course, you want to be able to complete that evaluation form before you go also. So thanks for staying with us. Thanks for joining us. My name is Brittany Clark. I was your moderator for today. And this was the J-TEC Scholarship and Financing Webinar 2026. All right, so thanks so much. I'm not sure if we have any closing remarks from Ms. Smith, but that's it from me. Have a great day, everyone.
You covered it, Ms. Clark. Thanks to everyone for their active participation, and we just want to encourage them to remember to be prepared, to be persistent, and to continue striving for their academic goals. So we're wishing everyone every success in their journey. Bye, everyone. Thank you for joining us this morning.
You're welcome.